Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The tension inside the Miami Dolphins facility this week was unlike anything players had felt in years. According to multiple locker room whispers, owner Stephen Ross stormed into a team meeting and made his stance crystal clear. No more excuses. Those four words, sharp and cold, reportedly cut through the silence like a blade. The billionaire owner, known for his calm demeanor and businesslike approach, has apparently reached his breaking point. Sources inside the building claim Ross directly called out head coach Mike McDaniel and general manager Chris Grier in front of the entire roster, an extremely rare move for any NFL owner. Players described the atmosphere as icy and uncomfortable, with Ross making it known that accountability was no longer optional. This wasn't a private office conversation. This was a public challenge, a message to everyone in that room. Results or consequences. Ross allegedly told McDANIEL and GRIER that the window for excuses had officially closed, and if the team didn't turn things around quickly, changes were coming, starting at the top. For a franchise that has spent decades chasing consistency and credibility, this felt like a breaking point. The moment when frustration finally boiled over into a direct threat from the man who signs every paycheck. What makes this confrontation so explosive is the timing. The Dolphins aren't a bottom-of-the-league disaster. They're hovering around playoff contention, showing flashes of brilliance mixed with maddening inconsistency. But to Ross, that's exactly the problem. He didn't spend billions building a franchise and renovating Hard Rock Stadium just to watch mediocrity repeat itself season after season. Insiders say the owner has grown impatient with what he sees as a culture of comfort, a team that celebrates small wins but never finishes the job when it matters most. McDaniel, once hailed as a young offensive genius, now finds himself under the harsh glare of expectations that may no longer align with his quirky, player-friendly style. Meanwhile, Grier's long tenure with the team has come under renewed scrutiny. Draft misses, questionable trades, and uneven roster construction have painted a picture of a front office that might have hit its ceiling. The locker room reportedly went silent as Ross finished his address. There were no handshakes, no reassuring smiles, just an owner walking out, leaving the weight of his words behind. Ross's background as a self-made real estate magnate gives his leadership style a unique edge. This is a man who built empires from nothing, who negotiated deals in Manhattan boardrooms where weakness meant loss. To see him bring that same no-nonsense energy into the Dolphins' locker room shouldn't surprise anyone familiar with his business legacy. His message was essentially this: performance is everything, excuses are worthless, and reputations don't protect jobs. For someone with a net worth exceeding $10 billion, patience has a price tag, and apparently, the Dolphins have exceeded it. The players, especially the veterans, reportedly left the meeting shaken. One insider mentioned that several team leaders had private discussions afterward, trying to figure out how to respond. Some viewed Ross's outburst as necessary tough love, a wake-up call. Others thought it crossed a line, undermining McDaniel's authority. Either way, the entire organization now knows that the owner isn't bluffing. This wasn't about emotion. It was about results. And Ross wants them fast. Behind the scenes, the ripple effects were immediate. Front office staff began whispering about potential replacements should Ross decide to pull the trigger. Names like Jim Harbaugh and Ben Johnson were quietly floated in private conversations, though no one dared speak too loudly. McDaniel, known for his calm and calculated press conferences, appeared visibly tense in his latest media appearance, dodging questions about distractions and emphasizing team unity. But even his tone suggested awareness that the storm above him had turned personal. Meanwhile, Grier, who has survived multiple coaching changes and front office overhauls, suddenly finds his long-term job security in jeopardy. For a man who's been with the Dolphins since 2000, the idea of being on the hot seat is unfamiliar territory. Still, sources close to the situation say Ross has made up his mind. Sentimentality will not dictate decisions. If the team doesn't improve dramatically over the next few weeks, both McDaniel and Grier could be gone before the season even ends. The irony is that just months ago, this same organization was bathing in optimism. The Dolphins had one of the league's most explosive offenses, National analysts praised McDaniel's creative play calling, and Ross himself appeared proud of the culture being built. But football, like business, is unforgiving. A few disappointing losses, questionable in-game decisions, and visible locker room frustration flipped the narrative. Ross, whose legacy in Miami includes not only team ownership but massive community investments, now faces a defining moment in his football chapter. Is he willing to blow it all up again, start from scratch, and risk another rebuild? Or is this a calculated attempt to light a fire without burning down the house? Either way, his message has reignited debate across NFL circles about whether Miami's leadership core truly has what it takes to compete at the championship level. Some insiders say this might be the most critical month in Dolphins history, not because of who they play, but because of who might not survive it. For Ross personally, this confrontation underscores his lifelong obsession with excellence. From Manhattan skyscrapers to Michigan classrooms, he's always demanded the best and rewarded those who deliver. His philanthropic side, known for billion-dollar donations to his alma mater, contrasts sharply with the ruthless businessman who built the Hudson Yards skyline. Now, those two identities seem to collide within the Dolphins. He doesn't just want wins. He wants an organization that reflects his values, discipline, vision, and relentless ambition. For McDANIEL and GRIER, that's a nearly impossible standard, but it's the only one that matters to Ross. The players, meanwhile, find themselves caught between loyalty to their coaches and the undeniable reality that the man upstairs holds all the power. Whether this confrontation leads to a turnaround or total collapse remains to be seen, but one thing's certain. Stephen Ross has spoken, and when a billionaire speaks in ultimatums, the NFL listens. In the days following that explosive meeting, the Dolphins' training facility reportedly felt different, quieter, more tense, but also strangely focused. One staffer described it as walking on eggshells, but with purpose. McDaniel, always known for his cool, cerebral approach to coaching, has supposedly shifted gears. Practices have become sharper, film sessions longer, and team meetings more pointed. Players say there's a sense of urgency that wasn't there before, a collective understanding that jobs, not just the coaches, are on the line. Yet beneath the surface, there's also fear. Fear of what happens if they fail to meet the owner's demand for immediate results. Ross's speech wasn't just a reprimand, it was a countdown. Each loss now feels heavier, each mistake magnified under the glare of billionaire expectations. Some players reportedly admire McDaniel's calm amidst the chaos, while others whisper that he might be too soft to handle the kind of storm Ross has unleashed. Either way, every snap, every drive, every Sunday now carries the weight of a man's career, maybe two. Chris Grier's position, long seen as untouchable due to his deep roots in the organization, now feels precarious. He's the last link between multiple eras of Dolphins football, from Adam Gase to Brian Flores to Mike McDaniel. That longevity, once a badge of trust, has turned into a target. Critics point to the inconsistent roster construction, the missed draft picks, the questionable trades that haven't delivered the promised results. While Grier has also built a competitive team, Ross reportedly no longer sees potential as an acceptable metric. He wants proof in wins, playoff appearances, and trophies. Sources close to the front office say Grier has been working overtime to explore trade options and roster adjustments that could spark a late-season surge. But time might not be on his side. The owner's patience, much like his corporate deadlines, comes with an expiration date. The question echoing around the halls of Hard Rock Stadium isn't whether Ross will act, it's when. The locker room dynamics have also shifted. Veterans like Tyreek Hill and Terron Armstead are reportedly taking on more vocal leadership roles, trying to rally the team and protect the coaching staff from internal collapse. Younger players, meanwhile, seem caught between admiration for McDaniel's innovative offense and anxiety over the looming uncertainty. One anonymous player told a local reporter, "You can feel it in the air. Everyone's fighting for something. Maybe not even the playoffs, just to stay here." That kind of atmosphere can either destroy a locker room or forge a stronger one. McDaniel's challenge now isn't just tactical, it's psychological. He has to convince his players to focus on football when the noise outside is deafening. If he succeeds, it could be the ultimate comeback story. If he fails, it could mark the end of yet another Dolphins rebuild, the kind of organizational reset that fans have grown weary of enduring every few years. Ross's presence has become almost mythic within the franchise. Employees talk about him in hushed tones, describing him as both inspiring and intimidating. His accomplishments in the business world command respect, but his growing frustration with mediocrity has turned him into a symbol of both ambition and fear. Some insiders believe this is his last stand as owner, that he wants to see a contender before he eventually passes control of the franchise to new hands. Others think it's about legacy, about proving that his billion-dollar vision can succeed in a sport that refuses to be bought. Regardless, his declaration of "no more excuses" has transformed from a headline into a mantra. Even the players who disagreed with his approach can't deny that it has lit a fire under the organization. The Dolphins may now be playing not for fun, not even for pride, but for survival in a league where second chances rarely come twice. Publicly, McDANIEL continues to project calm, deflecting questions with humor and charm, but insiders describe him as laser-focused, almost obsessive. Late nights in the office, constant film rewinds, quiet one-on-one meetings with players. He's doing everything he can to regain control of a narrative that's slipping away. Some say this version of McDANIEL, stripped of levity, hardened by pressure, might actually be his truest form. He's fighting not just for his job, but for the respect of an owner who's built his entire life on the idea that excellence is the only currency worth spending. Meanwhile, Ross watches from his suite, analyzing every play, every coaching decision, like a CEO reviewing a quarterly report. The stakes have never been higher, and both men know it. For Ross, it's about legacy. For McDANIEL, it's about redemption. For the Dolphins, it's about proving that this time, maybe, just maybe, they can finally live up to the weight of their promise. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? If the Dolphins manage to turn this chaos into momentum, this could go down as the moment that changed everything. Teams often need a spark, a crisis that forces them to face their flaws head-on. Maybe this confrontation, as brutal as it seemed, was the fire Miami needed to rise again. But if they crumble under the pressure, the fallout could reshape the entire franchise. New coach, new GM, new direction. Either way, Stephen Ross has made his move, and the NFL is watching closely. You can feel the tension radiating from South Florida, the kind that turns whispers into headlines and rumors into reality. And as the Dolphins prepare for their next game, one truth hangs in the air like humidity over the bay. This isn't just another week in the NFL. This is survival. The kind of survival that defines careers, ends legacies, and reminds everyone, from the locker room to the owner's suite, that in football, as in life, excuses never win championships. The days ahead will determine more than just the Dolphins' playoff hopes. They'll define the future of an entire franchise built on big dreams and bigger investments. Players know that every performance from here on out is a statement, every snap a chance to prove they belong in the version of Miami that Stephen Ross envisions. The cameras will capture the touchdowns and the tackles, but what truly matters now happens behind closed doors. The silent moments in meeting rooms, the glances between players and coaches who understand that failure could mean the end of an era. Some insiders believe Ross's confrontation was his way of reclaiming control after years of near misses and unfulfilled potential, a move meant to shock the organization back to life. Others say it's desperation, the final swing of a man tired of believing in processes that never deliver the prize. Whichever it is, it's working. The Dolphins are no longer just chasing a win. They're fighting to convince their own owner they deserve to exist in their current form. And that fight, that tension, might be exactly what separates the good teams from the ones that finally make history. Still, for all the noise, there's an undeniable energy pulsing through the Dolphins' facility, raw, unstable, but alive. Coaches are pushing harder, players are responding, and suddenly every practice feels like a playoff game. It's as if Ross's fury injected adrenaline into the building. Whether that energy becomes chaos or chemistry depends on what happens next. McDANIEL, for all his calm intellect, now carries the burden of proving that creativity can coexist with accountability. GRIER, the quiet architect, must show that his long-term vision can still produce short-term success. And Ross, he waits, watching like a judge in the shadows, hoping that the empire he built on ambition can finally produce the one thing money can't buy: sustained greatness. The Dolphins story, once filled with promise and frustration, now stands on the edge of transformation. This isn't just a rumor anymore. It's the pulse of a franchise standing at the crossroads between legacy and collapse, between excuses and execution, between survival and history. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.